Contrary to what some believe, Hong Kong has put a greater emphasis on cultural preservation in recent years. In this episode of DV, we step foot into a hidden gem in Lai Chi Kok to discover a heritage site named after cultural icon and scholar Yu Zhongyi. Ivy takes us around the multi-level mountainside site to speak with different contributors who have, in many ways, kept its history alive. Preserving this place was no walk in the park, but now that it has been restored, it certainly feels like one.
Hong Kong's skyline is iconic worldwide. Its glossy skyscrapers decorate the entire horizon, yet contemporariness is not necessarily antithetical to heritage. We, instead of demolishing these old buildings, can preserve its history by revitalizing it. And the preservation of history is particularly important because it helps us develop a new level of appreciation for our local culture. It contains stories of those who came before us. By applying placemaking concepts, we can preserve the history and the historic value of the buildings through smarter use. So, let's discover the true value of making old things new. What makes this place so special?
It has a very interesting history. You can trace back to 130 years ago. This place was first a custom station because of its elevated view. The government, the Qing government, actually collect taxes from the incoming ships. That was how it began.
I see.
And later on, this place has become a laborers' quarters.
Laborers' quarter.
Yeah, where hard laborers were sent to South Africa from here.
Oh.
It was kind of like a quarantine site.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, when Hong Kong needed another prison,
Yes.
this place has become a prison
Right.
until the Stanley prison was opened.
Oh, okay.
So this place has been a prison for a number of years. And then later on, when there were infectious disease, an epidemic in Hong Kong,
Yes.
this place was turned into an infectious disease hospital.
Wow.
When the first stock crisis hit Hong Kong in the 70s, this place was turned into a psychiatric hospital.
Good Lord, I did not expect to find a place like this in Hong Kong with
Yeah.
so many different parts of history have been a part of it, hasn't it? Why is this place named after Zhao Zhongyi?
In 2009, the government suggested that we name this place in honor of Professor Zhao Zhongyi because of his tremendous contribution to sinology. He's really worth this honor because he did a lot of teaching and advising both in Hong Kong and overseas. So he's pivotal in the promotion of Chinese culture. He actually gave us a number of his paintings and his collections, his works. So we do have a permanent exhibitions of his works here. These buildings are over 100 years old.
Yeah.
So we've kept all its features, including the bricks. So we've preserved all the bricks. If it looks really horrible, and then we take it out, turn it around, show the better looking side to the public.
I see.
And we've also kept the roofs. They're really real tiles, double tiles put together.
I see.
The good thing about it is we keep the historic features, but it's not very friendly to air conditioning. So
Okay.
we have to work extra hard to make sure we control the temperature and the humidity inside.
So what do you think is the key takeaway for people who come here?
Well, with such a long history, interesting history as a backdrop, people can come here and feel the cultural ambience of this place. We also offered different kind of experience, like being close to nature. We also organize different cultural activities, so people can come here and just to get away from the hustle and bustle from the city. So our objective is to create an oasis for people to enjoy it in the middle of town.
So what do people say about this place?
Well, from most I've heard, they love it here. We have different kinds of events, like arts and craft bazaars that we have regularly.
Okay.
And people love to come in here and just to enjoy the ambience and make use of this place for sort of some creative cultural events.
Okay.
And the fact that we have a hotel up there also offers the opportunity for people to be closer to nature and they can take their time and enjoy the ambience here. We also have education program for kids to come in and find out more about Hong Kong through our history here and our cultural lectures.
So I imagine you had some challenges with the pandemic. How did you go through it?
Oh yeah, well that had been a difficult part. When the epidemic first started, we were converted into a quarantine center for 3 months. And then afterwards, it was difficult. Like most hotels, we were relying on overseas visitors. So we have to convert our business to target the local people. And one of the things that we've done is petcation, for pets to stay in our hotel and then they can roam around our outdoor areas. So that has proven to be quite popular.
Yeah, people must love that.
Yes, they do.
So, Gyokman, you work with wood?
Yes, wood is actually my main material.
Where does wood come from?
The source that I use is usually collapsed trees in Hong Kong, collapsed by typhoons, or sometimes authorities just cut down the trees because of the safety. I collect that woods and process in my small workshop.
Wow.
And turn them into some useful items that we use everyday life.
That's crazy. So it's kind of like upcycling, you know?
It is, yes, upcycling, because if I don't use these woods, this ended up in the landfills in Hong Kong. It's a small step, but it makes a difference.
Yeah. How do you find the right kind of wood to create all of this?
Actually, the wood in Hong Kong mostly we use is acacia wood.
Acacia wood.
Also, it's called Taiwanese acacia or small leaf acacia. Which is very dense, very hard wood, and very good quality wood in the woodworking. Also, whatever wood I find, I can use it. For example, this one.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the dragon eye fruit.
Yes.
But not many people see the inside the long end tree.
Wow,
so you
this
can
is a
see the
long
pattern,
end.
yes.
Wow.
We call flame figure of the wood.
I see.
Each wood has different figuring. This one has flame figuring, and you can see it's very beautiful. Also very hard, very dense wood. But not much people really know what long end tree look like actually, or long end wood timber look like. But I prefer to work by my hands. So even like sanding, polishing some small items, I always use my hand.
You do it yourself by hand?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Which is, first of all, good fun, but also it's kind of like a connection with the wood, because if you just put this in a machine and take it from the other side as a final product, it's not much sense to me. Every day, let's say on a street, you pass by a tree like every day. That tree is there maybe like 40 years, 50 years, you don't know. Especially in Hong Kong, like there are so many old trees. They call OVT, old and valuable trees. That's a piece of history. And I really enjoy that, keeping that history. For example, as a pen, you can write down every single day. And this is like 40 years of tree.
Quite like working with these organic materials. I noticed that like it's not finished. It doesn't seem perfect.
Actually, yes. Here, nothing is perfect. Each corners may be different than other. Maybe it's not exactly 90 degrees as it should be. But it makes them unique.
Why would you choose this place in particular?
As you see, the roof is like classic Chinese style. I don't know why, but it made me excited. And the bricks, old brick structures, even when you think about like some workers built the bricks one by hand, let's say 100 years ago. So when I think about it, I really feel like appreciation.
I see.
And I feel very, very happy inside this building. The people visiting here kind of sharing the same idea with me. They like the old places and they enjoy the preservation of history, especially in Hong Kong. Like, it's a big modern city and life is very fast, but once you come here, it's totally different world. And I think people really enjoy learning the old style and the history of Hong Kong. Preservation is, I think, very important. So it's better to let them understand how people work in, let's say, 50 years ago, which is so different than now. Even like nowadays, like in 3 years, 5 years, the world changes a lot. And so many things getting lost, especially like old handcrafts, as I say, the preservation. So it's keep it and show the next generation, which is very important for me.
From redesigning to repurposing, this now serene venue has also been through a beautiful transformation. Let's see what else Ivy has to share.
For a building of over 100 years old, stories permeate through these walls. And revitalization is a way of communicating these stories and strengthens its connection with the community and its environment. I wonder how it all came to fruition. Let's find out.
These stories have certainly helped create a lore about this place, and by the way it looks now, the attention to detail has also made the journey through its different buildings and its ambience easy to appreciate. A rarity in this city.
So as an architect who's worked with art centers before and also school architecture, what is so special about this place?
This project actually is the first batch of the art scheme.
That's the revitalization scheme?
Correct, exactly, the art scheme. So about 15 years ago, this one is the first batch, and this is actually a scheme that is proposed by the government to invite a non-profit government organization, ask them to propose, to convert, and then subsequently operate. At that time, we took on the project. Actually, there's not much knowledge about preservation of buildings, how we do conservation in Hong Kong. So actually the team has to do a lot of research and find out the way how we do this conservation. But as our scheme, there is a fundamental principle, is to respect the historical site and historical building as well. So the intervention that we put into the site and the historical building has to be minimal, but has to be strategic in a way that to bring out the historical value and the cultural ambience of the site and the building. Diversity is also one thing very important because it's really interest. Is make the city less boring. So in fact, this whole complex has a lot of different functions. The client actually wish to create a cultural complex. So for the low zone, we convert into a exhibition area. And then for the middle zone, this is a cultural area with different functions, including studios, theaters, also restaurant, and also resort center. And then the upper zone is converted to hotel. So all this is an interesting mix. So how we can then bring that together? The one thing, the challenge is the connectivity. Because we have 29 buildings in this hilly terrain. So how we can connect them is the major challenge. So you can see we have incorporated some new lift, also accessible ramp and disabled platform, but they are all strategically placed in a location that you don't see them. So in order not to affect the ambience of this environment and also the nice landscape of this environment. So this is actually the principle of the conservation. The intervention, you have to be minimal but strategic.
Are there any characteristics that you honestly try to preserve no matter what?
We have to look at what actually is the so-called the character-defining element.
Character-defining element.
Yeah.
What are those?
So now in here, the red brick, the Chinese roof tile, the wooden window, and even the scenic landscape. They are all the character-defining element of this interesting site, such as the red brick you can see here.
Yes.
So actually, they are all previously covered by the white plaster.
Oh, is that right?
When we first do this building, in Hong Kong, there's no one has done this before.
No one has done this before.
Removing the white plaster and then rebuilding the red brick.
Oh, I see.
So the team actually researched in a different way together with the contractor. Basically, we have to saw cut the plaster and then use handheld tools to remove bit by bit the plastering.
So I noticed that we are surrounded by the nature. Was there a thought process behind all of the plants?
I think you notice here is the environment is very natural.
Yeah.
So the idea is not to create too many artificial man-made environment. So in fact, in our team, we have a landscape architect. He did quite a detailed research onto the surrounding, including the species, and also when actually the trees and the shrub will be flowering. So, and then strategically we add new plants to enhance the whole natural setting.
What was so meaningful about this project to you?
So as an architect, I think preserving architectural heritage is always one of our important agenda. And also myself as a practicing urban designer, to me actually preserving the cultural identity of the city is also a very important thing. And without the cultural identity, Hong Kong is not Hong Kong.
So Tim, are you a coffee person?
我唔係飲咖啡㗎。
Oh, you don't drink coffee. Why is that?
因為其實好得意嘅，呢一間咖啡店大家就以為一個咖啡師開啦。
Yeah.
咁但係遙管佢哋邀請我嘅時候咧，咁其實我本身係一個搞活動策劃嘅人嚟嘅。
Oh, I see. So you were an event planner. So,
Yeah.
okay, because we all thought that a barista opened this cafe. Okay, so what brought an event planner to the coffee business?
因為其實我覺得一間咖啡店咧喺出邊香港唔同地方咧都係淨係飲咖啡啦同食嘢啦，配合佢哋咁靚嘅環境超過100年歷史嘅一個文物咧，咁我哋點樣可以運用呢個地方善用佢，令到可以多啲人嚟參與，透過呢杯咖啡咧去搞下活動啊，俾人 enjoy 下咁樣。
Yeah, so a lot of coffee shops in Hong Kong, as you say, they really focus on the F&B, the food and beverage side. But as an event planner, you see the space and you see a lot of potential to do events. So you could do events along with the coffee. That's incredible.
香港好難揾到一個城市綠洲啦，我哋叫做喺一啲特定嘅時間咧，佢哋有啲市集啊，有啲嘅講座啊，有啲嘅唔同嘅活動啦，咁變咗可以吸引到多啲人流，同埋我哋自己都會搞一啲活動，例如我哋搞嗰啲陶瓷嘅展覽啦。
So as you say, it's really hard to find an urban oasis in Hong Kong. So what you find really special about this place is that number one, it's a heritage site, and number two is that you can make use of those events that happen at this location. There are also local markets, and then you also hosted a ceramic workshop at this particular cafe. And how was the response?
其實好好啊！大家會覺得原來間咖啡店可以咁多變化，可以 transform 到係一個活動嘅場地，俾人哋有互動啦。咁啊，令到大家除咗飲咖啡之外，佢會好記得呢個地方。因為其實飲咖啡嘅人嚟呢一度咧，除咗嘆杯靚咖啡之外咧，佢想有一個好好嘅回憶。
You're not just using this place as a coffee shop. So you want to transform it into something that's like, for events as well. And to help people remember this place through events, through creating great memories with a cup of coffee. What inspired you, actually, to be here of all places? There are other heritage sites. Why here in particular?
其實我本身好中意香港嘅歷史文化嘅。
Okay.
咁細個都成日去歷史博物館啊，或者係一啲歷史嘅古蹟，成日去參觀。咁啊，偶然機會下認識咗負責人啦。咁
佢 actually met the operator of this place, and you used to visit our museums before, so you've always really like these places.
冇錯，即係如果你幻想下一個即係開咖啡店嘅人，佢可以喺一個超過100年歷史建築嘅地方開間咖啡店，其實香港真係所剩無幾。
Yeah, so you find it really meaningful that you get to open a cafe at this 100-year-old location, and you just don't see it anywhere else in Hong Kong. What kind of customers will actually come to your cafe?
其實啲客人嚟到呢間咖啡店，第一個感覺就好 surprise。原來咖啡店外邊同埋裏邊都好多打卡啊，俾人影相嘅。
I see. So there's actually a lot of Instagrammable spots inside and outside of this cafe, and people are actually really surprised when they come in here. They're just expecting a cup of coffee or some food, but they come in here and there's so many spots to do photo taking. So is the clientele very different now than before?
因為我哋呢一年嘅努力啦，咁啊喺即係 social media 都做得幾好啦。咁啊，因為而家啲人就會係嚟到呢間咖啡店特登嚟打卡，跟住佢順便哇原來有咁靚嘅100年嘅歷史嘅地方，咁我都好希望可以透過呢間咖啡店去帶動多啲人去認識香港嘅咁好嘅歷史建築咯。
Yeah, I see. So it used to be that people come in here to see the heritage site, and then they come in here to see the cafe, and they just have a drink, right? But because of your efforts and creating these Instagrammable spots, they come here first, and then they see, oh wow, I didn't know that there was this place is actually a 100-year-old historical site. So you're actually doing your part to educate people about heritage in Hong Kong. So that's actually really meaningful to me. Revitalization preserves important parts of our history. It creates space for us to appreciate it from a different angle. Take the red bricks, for example. It's not just a building material. It represents the efforts from the craftsmen and also its historical origins. Clearly, the more you explore, the more you discover, and history, once found, is always an eye-opener.